Hi, welcome to the Telly Awards second Through Lines event of this season. My name is Amanda Needham, and I'm the Managing Director of the Telly Awards, and I'm going to be joined today by Austin Barbera and Jake Krask, the co-founders of 626, for the event Cash Flow, Clients, and Commercials, Building a Modern Creative Studio. I am super excited about this discussion. We're going to go behind the scenes on some of their award-winning music videos and commercials. We're going to talk to them about actually the nuts and bolts of building a modern production company and creative studio. We're going to have about a 25-minute discussion, which involves looking at some of their best work, and then hold time for questions amongst ourselves and then amongst all the participants here at the end. So if you do have questions that come up throughout the course of the event, either on the videos themselves or anything people have said, you can drop them in the chat in the LinkedIn comments, and our team will bring them up at the end, and we will be sure to answer all the nitty-gritty details that people want to know about. To start off, though, I want to give you a little bit of background on the Telly Awards and this program. So the Telly Awards honor excellence in video and television across all screens, from branded content to commercials and marketing, film and shorts, immersive. We have a really wide remit. And this program came out of that bird's eye view we have of the industry and the goal of really cross-referencing and breaking down some of the similar issues and themes that all members of that wide industry face by having really deep and pointed discussions with leaders in the space that are relevant across the board. And so if you make work in any of those areas, branded to commercials to film and shorts, our early entry deadline is actually coming up next Friday. So if you're making any of that work, you should submit it. But you should also stay tuned for a conversation on how to do that even better with the two folks I have in the waiting room. So without further ado, let's bring them onto the stage. So 626 is a full-service creative studio based in LA, reimagining brand engagement through innovative storytelling. And I'm joined today by Austin Barbera, who is the co-founder and managing director of 626. Hi, Austin.
Hi.
He started off at 16 on music video sets, skipped traditional education, climbed from PA to line producer, and founded 626 at 20. And his hands-on experience and real insider view of the industry, I think, is what really sets apart the work they do. And we're also joined today by Jake Krask. Jake is the co-founder and managing partner of 626. Hey, Jake. He's the guy that holds it all together, nuts and bolts wise. Under his leadership, the studio has produced award-winning campaigns for Doja Cat, Billie Eilish, Megan Thee Stallion, and brands like Coca-Cola, Samsung, and Adidas. So welcome, both of you gentlemen. I am really excited to chat with you today. You've got such a wide remit of interesting work you've done, but also I think insight on how to build a modern creative studio in a really fast-paced industry that's constantly changing. And I'm excited to dig into that with you. This is our Through Lines event. And every Through Lines event would like to start off with a question. And so our theme this year is Capture the Original, and it's all about people tapping back into that original source of inspiration in what they do. So kick us off and just let us know what you think is original or at that core inspiration for your creative studio, 626. What sets you apart?
Yeah, for sure. Amanda, as you said, when Jake and I were 20, we decided to start this company. And really the main reason why we decided to start the company was we wanted to be creating culture relevant content for today's generation by today's generation. There wasn't really anybody doing it at the time. We also wanted to reimagine how things were done and executed. A lot of things in the industry felt like they were being done in a very old school and outdated way. And we wanted to bring a modern spin to how things are done.
Solid. Anything to add to that, Jake?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head on that one.
Cool. Well, so you guys really started off with music videos, which I feel like is a crash course in how to do anything. You know better than I do, but I've definitely attempted to film music videos and nowhere near executed at a level that they are done at. With a relatively unknown singer called Billie Eilish. Is that correct? This was one of the first things you guys did as 626. Tell us a bit about this project and your sort of roots in music video.
Yeah. So this Billie Eilish music video for Bellyache was the first project we ever produced as a company, right when we started up the company. And, we didn't know who Billie was at the time. She was 15. She just signed to Interscope. and she was their priority artist. So we did this music video, not really thinking anything of it. Came out really, she blew up overnight and put us on the map as a production company. And from there, record labels were flocking to us, wanting to work with us and our directors. And we ended up doing 70 music videos our first year, coming off of this. So
Wild. All right, let's watch a little bit of it, and then we'll talk a bit more about the project and your experience in music videos.
Where's my mind? Where's my mind? Maybe it's in the gutter where I left my lover. What an expensive thing. My V is falling dead. I thought that I'd feel better, and now I got a bellyache. Maybe it's in the gutter.
Awesome. So if you watch the whole video, it's like there's only like 2 locations. It's like a long follow shot of Billie most of the time on that open road. There's like one scene over LA. It looks like, I don't know how you got a cop car. Do you have any, like, what's it like to make music for Billie Eilish at the beginning of her career?
it was
And
really
how do you
cool.
actually execute that one? Like, budget wise, or like what are some of the stories behind it?
Yeah, I think back to that budget, and I have no idea how we pulled that off. I wouldn't know where to start with that these days. But I think we were young and hungry, and we said yes to every opportunity we could, and just always wanted to make the most of it. There was a question you asked that I'm now forgetting.
Just like limited locations, like just the turnaround on that. What was the timeline for doing it? Like, and moving through the arc of that, like what it takes to make a music video compared to like you made 70 in your first year. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
Like?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, producing is it's the same process, give or take, on every project. There's unique things about each project, of course, but give or take, it's most of the same. You find locations, you hire your crew, etc. Budget was definitely very, very tight, as I mentioned earlier. And, I think, our directors who directed that, Miles and AJ, who have been with us since day one of their careers and day one of us starting the company, they wore multiple hats on that one. Miles was the DP on that as well as directing, and he also edited it. And I think we just had to be extra scrappy and wear more hats than we are these days.
Totally. And that's, super common, but I actually would say it's still common, even in more and more in the industry, for people to have to wear multiple hats. I'm curious now you guys are doing commercial work, but when you're doing music video work where there's an artist involved, like artist versus brand, are they more heavily involved? Like, are you following more the artist's direction when it comes to that execution, or are you bringing the creative vision because they are a creative themselves?
Yeah, it's a good question. It really depends. When we did this video with Billie, she came to us with the idea of wanting to do something in the desert with that wagon. And Miles and AJ kind of took her idea and built on it. And it's different for every client, whether it's a brand or an artist. Sometimes our directors are coming up with a concept from scratch. Sometimes it's a close collaboration. Sometimes, like in the Billie situation, the artist might come to us or the brand might come to us with an idea in mind, and we kind of build on it. It just kind of depends.
Jake, talk to me about that first year, like actually like managing time and resources. Like, what was it like to produce 17 music videos in a year? That's like one every 3 days. I don't actually follow. Like,
it was crazy. I don't think at that time there was any managing of anything. It was like, let's figure out how many opportunities and at bats can we get and like really help prove ourselves and show that like we are undeniable at providing value to our clients and to these artists and making like dope work that we're proud of and that other artists would think is sick, so they would want to work with us. And it was just like relentlessly pushing and figuring out how can we do as many videos as possible to really hone our craft and skills and improve on that, and just like really start to build a portfolio that we could showcase to people.
Yeah. So you sort of shifted from that phase into commercials. Why did you do that? How what was it different? Did you want that always? Like, how did you guys sort of move into the commercial space from that point?
Yeah, I think it was always a natural evolution, just from a standpoint of us looking at other companies and thinking about some of these like bigger behemoths now. And it's like, oh, they started off in music videos, then you go into commercials. So we always knew we wanted to do that. I think our first few years was really just focused on like building our name in the music video side of it. But I think we started just implementing the same way we built our name on the music video side, by like just like relentlessly getting in front of as many people as possible, trying to convince them to work with us. And then we got this Samsung job that was a massive commercial with Miles and AJ, and I believe it was our first commercial that we did. And once we did this project, we were like, holy shit, like this is what we want to be doing moving forward. Like this is incredible. It was just an amazing experience all around, and I think that kind of helped set us up as like our launch pad going more into the commercial space, and then release this video to really build our name in commercials and get people to realize that they could trust us, not just in music video content, but commercial content as well.
All right, cool. Let's watch it.
I feel like it's missing something.
Baby, I got you the ultimate statement piece.
Oh my god, what?
And it comes good for her.
You did not.
Future.
Amy, you about to be tripping, cause your new phone to be flipping. Here's a T when you go hands-free. You get more sick pics off your outfits and kicks. Fashion is your passion and you the main attraction. See, you're already blown up. Gifts with clout speak for themselves.
So it's music video-esque for sure. There, you can see sort of why you got that bid, I get, in terms of execution. I'm curious, the production level here with the smoke and the movement and sort of the effects and the brand, like the actual product work. Were you prepared for that, or did you just do it? Like you're like, we'll figure this out, and then we're able to do it. Like, how did you approach some of those elements if they were different than the kind of work you'd been doing before?
I'd say, when it comes to the execution of things, we always are working with the best of the best crew, and we're bringing on people that have experience doing these things. I think, in terms of starting and running a business, there's definitely some fake it till you make it. And maybe we as a company haven't done that exact execution before, but if we're able to find and hire the right people that have, and we're able to trust them to know that they're able to bring it to life, then we know us and our clients are going to be in a good position.
You've talked about that before, like building the right team, like really making sure you guys are not just as creatives, but like the right consultants, that you're putting the energy with the experts. Like, how have you done that? How did you do that at the beginning of your business? Do you have like examples of the kind of people you partnered with, or where it really mattered, where you realized like, I would not normally want to outsource this budget, but I'm going to, because I know this is going to have a return?
I think with me getting into the industry at such a young age, when I was 16, I was working with a lot of really legendary people at the time. And I noticed that there were some really amazing people to work with, but there were also some really not amazing people to work with. And I knew that when I had the, kind of powers of who we get to hire and work with, that I wanted to be very picky about who we work with, because I wanted to work with people who were genuinely good people, who are enjoyable to work with and spend a lot of time with, especially when you're on set for 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And you're going into the battlefield, and you want to work with people who are going to be there to help support you and bring a positive vibe. And it's really about curating at the end of the day. So from the crews that we hire on all of our projects to our staff, et cetera, I think it just really comes down to like curating the right people that we bring to the table at the end of the day.
So Jake, before we watched this, when you guys got this gig, you were like, this is all we want to do. Why? What was different about commercials and music videos that you sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, I think besides it being a way larger budget than music videos, so we had more creative freedom. I think it was just like really interesting. We're coming from the music video world. A lot of times it's like, oh, this song's starting to blow up. We need a music video by tomorrow, because we need to keep it going. Or a lot of things could be a little more like last minute, or it's not as organized, or you're working with like managers who maybe don't have the most expertise on film production and stuff like that. But when we start doing more of the commercial stuff, they come to us with a calendar saying you have like 2 weeks to prep a job, and to us, even like 2 weeks back then was like, oh my God, that's insane. Like it's not 3 days.
I love it.
Just having calendars, multiple people on the team, like people have been working on these projects for weeks, if not months, and it's like their baby and they really care about what they're doing in the end product. And it just felt very refreshing. And there's still stress to it, but it didn't have the same stress of like the urgency a music video might have, where it's like last minute, you got to piece everything together and you hope everything like comes together nicely. But like you really sit down and strategize and really help work with them on the creative and figure out the right execution and the best way to position it, our strategy to make sure that the numbers work and we can execute it properly. So I think just the timeline and just the people we were working with at the time, and also when you have the bigger budgets, you're able to work with the higher end crew members sometimes. So like even being able to work with them, it was just like, oh wow, like this is amazing. And like, oh, I see that there's levels to this game, and like this level is something that we definitely want to play at.
Totally. Cool. Well, and you guys are still doing commercial. I mean, and your output shifted then, right? So like you're doing 70, you're just like figuring it out. When you're doing commercial stuff, yeah. Are you picking and choosing? I mean, the stuff you're working on now, what are you're working on? Let's go to what you're working on now so we can see sort of where you guys are at. But like, so you just talking to me about the shift in the commercial world to sort of where you are now from that first Samsung commercial. Like, how did you start to build out your time, build your business, get to the level that you're at now with the?
Yeah, I would say going from the first commercial we ever did being the Samsung one that we just watched to some of our more latest work, like the IV piece. You know, I think we got a bit of a taste of what working with brands was like, and kind of in a very natural way, the amount of music videos that we were doing compared to the amount of commercials we were doing, music videos started dropping in quantity, and the quantity of commercials started going up. And nowadays we're about 95 or more % of our business is working with brands and creating commercials, and the other 5% or so is doing music videos, which isn't necessarily what we were intending for, but it kind of worked out that way, and we're really grateful for that. I think we just got a taste of what it was like working with brands, and it's just kind of nothing against record labels, but the process is just a bit more thought out, and the timelines are just a bit more thought out, et cetera, working with brands.
Yeah. All right, let's watch two of your recent pieces. Liquid IV won a Telly last year, and then the Dunkin' commercial has it come out yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Dunkin' commercial right after that.
Cities across Southern California, and the hottest day in the city of Los Angeles, warning that the summer might be a scorcher.
Order for Affleck. Affleck.
Expecting my cousin Ben? Nah. When Dunkin' has something packed with amazing value, they bring me in. Jen Affleck. The value Affleck.
The value Affleck?
Yep. Twice the personality, half the price. I'm a steal. Just like Dunkin's $6 meal deal. A coffee, bacon, egg, and cheese, and hash browns for $6? That's value. You know what's not value? Ben. Why overpay for something that nobody wants? He's so dated. I'm younger, hotter. Can you believe Ben's only 53? And it's not like a young 53. It's like a weathered 53.
Rude.
Ugh, that was bad. But not as bad as those grays.
A totally average 53. Right down the 53 fairway.
You ain't talking money, I don't understand.
Cool. Those are awesome. They're also very different. One is like tongue-in-cheek, celebrity focused, funny on your humor cuts. The other one was like pretty dynamic visual storytelling, no overt celebrity focus. I mean, are these sort of like, do you pick and choose? Can you do any kind of commercial? Do you guys have a lane you kind of go in? Like, how do you, and what is sort of your forte when it comes to the commercial side of things?
Yeah, I think when it comes to commercials, we definitely pick and choose. I think for us, it's just like what actually excites us, what feels like a creative challenge, what aligns with what our creatives are trying to do, and what clients at the end of the day seem really cool and awesome and like great collaborators that we want to work with. I think we've definitely done enough of the building where we've worked with like whoever we could just to get in the door. But as we've continued to grow, it's more so what do we really want to do and what excites us and our team and taking on more of those projects.
Cool. How did you get the Liquid IV one, that particular one? Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, I was going to LMU for a little bit, Loyola Marymount, before I dropped out. But there was another kid, I think he was like a year older than me. He just started Liquid IV there when we started the company, and we were just doing music videos, but I'd always be like emailing him and trying to figure out, and they were really starting to blow up. I'm like, I really just want to get in the door there. And I think it was like 4 years of just like relentlessly trying to figure out how to get in. And it finally worked where they hit us up to do their first national campaign and also do the creative ideation on it, which was really cool. And just like another exciting avenue for us that got us really interested on the brand direct front of the business, which is really cool to be a part of.
Very cool. And Austin, what about the Dunkin' one? Was that anything behind that?
Yeah, so we've had the pleasure of working with Artist Equity. I think we're on our 6th or 7th project of the year currently with them, which is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's production company and ad agency.
Oh, cool.
And so again, we're on our 6th or 7th project of the year with them for Dunkin' right now. This was this spot with Jen Affleck and Ben Affleck was one of the more recent ones we did this year. I think we did our first project with them, and they really enjoyed working with us, and they immediately trusted us. And pretty much every single time that they've had another project since then, they just knew that they could count on us, and they always give us a call first. And I think for us, like we really go above and beyond to give our clients the best end products, the best experience, so they continue to come back to wanting to work with us. Because at the end of the day, what we do is all project based. It's all one-off projects. But if we could give our clients the best experience every single time, so whenever they have a project where their first thought and they continue to come back to us, that's really, really the goal.
I have two thoughts that are separate, but the first, I mean, that's quite impressive to have. I would say like Hollywood's most like iconic duo, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, trust you. Like, I feel like their whole dynamic is based on their initial trust of each other. And that's, how do you earn that in a way that, like, I don't know, are you just cool? How do you actually demonstrate to people that I don't like, how does that become tangible and replicable? Yeah.
No, it's a good question. I think at the end of the day, whenever we are working with a client, whether it's a new client or a client that we've been working with for years, I think they see how involved we are and how above and beyond we go in every step of the process. We're always very transparent.
You too, basically, like both of you.
Yes, us, but also just like our entire team. Again, like it comes down to like the teams that we curate, both our staff and the freelance teams on every single project. But I think like we just curate a really good team of really good people who are amazing at what they do. They have good attitudes. They know how to get the job done at the top quality. And I think our clients just see that at the end of the day. We know at the end of the day, it's our name on the line, and we want, our clients we just want to make our clients' lives as easy as possible. So if we could make their lives as easy as possible and give them the best experience and give them the best end product, then we know that they'll continue to come back to us, and the good word will continue to spread.
Yeah. So on that note, I mean, you now have had the opportunity to build your own team, to structure a company, to grow a business, which is, very different than starting off just doing things, running and gunning, right? Like, tell me about that growth. Because a lot of people want what you have in terms of how to scale their business. what can you share about how you approached that? What was challenging? What are you guys hold like as sort of fundamentals in your company?
Yeah, I think there's no instruction manual on how to start and run a business. And I think Jake and I just have kind of figured it out, and we're still figuring it out step by step, constantly learning. But I think we've also been able to grow a lot by, bringing in consultants who know maybe more than us, or could teach us a thing or two. And maybe we figure out what we learn from those consultants that we could adapt into the business. But I feel every year that goes by, we've been running this business for almost 9 years now. Every year that goes by, I reflect on the prior year. I'm like, I feel like we had no idea what we were doing a year before, because we're constantly learning so much every single year that goes by. But I'll pass it to Jake to see if he has anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest hack we've learned, especially over the past 2 to 3 years, is just like hiring the best people that we could really trust and that we know will deliver at the level we want. And that's just because they also value what we value, but getting really good at the hiring process. I think at first it's like, I don't know, why do we hire someone? I don't think they could do it as good as us. Like, I'm just gonna have to micromanage. This doesn't make sense. But then it's like, oh wait, you could actually just hire someone that's way better at this than you are, and they could do it 10 times better, and you don't need to micromanage. And like, you want them to come up with solutions and answers because they could do it better than you. And I think once we made that like mindset shift and really started to figure out how to find those people and hire those people, it was like a game changer, and has just been like hockey puck growth for us as we've continued to grow our team from just us two. I think we're at like 4 or 6 people 2 years ago to being at like 20 right now, and probably going to be closer to 30 by the end of next year.
Yeah. So Jacob, when we first talked, you described your guys as a data-driven production company. What does that actually mean? Like in practice, what are the line items you guys are looking at in terms of growth, or just making sure you're on track?
Yeah, I think a big thing that we've just been working with like consultants with over the past couple of years is there's so much data in the business that you don't even think about, that kind of just helps you see trends and understand how you're actually performing and what's really going on in your business, and being able to figure out how to like synthesize and just like understand what is that data actually telling you, and just getting like these very intricate like Google Sheets built. But I mean, we track everything from our team's bandwidth on an individual level to what's our gross profit margins on jobs, or as a company, what's our win rate, what's our repeat business, are clients actually coming back to work with us again, or are returning and burning, like what's our client satisfactory scores on every side of it, from how is the creative working with us, how is the production process, how is the post process, how many qualified leads are we generating, how many meetings are we having a week, like how much have we invoiced each week. Like, we've kind of built out all these models that we're able to look at on a daily or weekly basis, but just really start to understand how are we performing, and if we have like numerical goals that we're trying to reach, like are we set up and like going down the right path, and we're not just like shooting from the hip and think that's the right decision to make or that's the wrong decision. But being able to understand, if we put our time and energy and implement this new marketing technique, did that actually work or not? Like, are we wasting time here? Should we try something new? Oh, this one was really good, like let's keep doing that, and now let's try something else. But I think a lot of it comes back to, especially being a smaller business, is just like bandwidth of our teams and like how hectic a lot of these jobs are, and like just being very understanding of that there's only so many hours in a day. So it's like, where do we really want to spend it, and how can we use all of our decision making in the past to like inform what do we feel is the best decision to make now, and then learn from that and just keep that compounding.
I mean, that it sounds very, very well thought through, and on some level, you are building a modern creative studio. It seems par for the course that you would be doing it with such a lens. I mean, I don't think I've personally thought about like tracking, the delivery time shifts in like different jobs, but it has an impact, and it has an impact on staff and stuff like that as well. Yeah. I mean, how are you building clientele right now? Are you doing paid marketing or not? Like, what is your actual strategy for growing your business?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly trying to figure out and innovate new ways to stay in front of current clients or to get in front of new clients. I think at the end of the day, just like the ads that we're creating for our clients, because they're trying to stay top of mind for their customers, or trying to create awareness to get more customers. It's the same thing for us. We are a brand, and we need to constantly figure out ways to stand out amongst our competitors in a very crowded marketplace. I think whenever we have a new client in the door, or any client, even if it's a return client, like, we want to always give them, as I've said, the best experience and the best end product. That's always a goal. In addition to that, to gain new clients or to continue to stay top of mind for current clients, we're doing, marketing, whether it's social media marketing on LinkedIn or posting on Instagram or sending out email newsletters about our latest work or new directors that we've signed. We're also constantly going out and meeting with clients in person, whether it's going to an agency and doing a screening, or going and meeting up with people that work at brands and telling them about us and showing them our work and telling them about our directors, and our service offerings. Just always trying to figure out how to stay in front of clients all the time.
Yeah, I would say the biggest marketing hack, though, that like we've kind of just learned is like, you could do paid media, you could do special types of cold outreach or whatever, but it's just, especially in our business, like high ticket B2B, it's like reputation for us. Like, if you're getting someone new in the door and you're trying to convince them to convince their boss to pick you for like $100,000, $200,000, $2 million job, like if you mess it up, that could be like their job on the line, a promotion on the line for them, like could have severe impact on them losing a client. So like, they're very particular about who they work with. So it's like, they're probably going to go call a couple of their friends and see if they've worked with you or what's your reputation or any of that type of stuff. So like, I think it's, if you could actually provide your current clients the best end experience at the end of the day, like, more work is going to flow in, whether they're telling their friends about you or you have random like cold outreach that someone wanted to hop on a call with you, they have a job, they're going to start calling around and asking. And it doesn't matter how good the marketing is, if you have a bad end product and they hear that from someone, they're not going to risk it on you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the real work. It's having a solid product you're offering, not just the front of it. Well, so what are you, I want to move to questions from people that are attending, but what are you guys excited about? I mean, you're working with brands almost 90% of the time. Brand storytelling is totally evolving. I mean, they're making movies now. Like, there's probably lots of creative playroom for you in this space. What are you guys excited about? What kind of stories do you want to be telling? What's sort of next for 626?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still goes to like the mission of the company, and we just want to be making culturally relevant content for today's generation by today's generation. I think we've spent the past couple years really building a strong foundation to support brands in all their different apps they're trying to do, and really being able to be a nimble home that's able to bring that all kind of under one roof and be able to support them in all their different endeavors at the highest level possible and at the speed that they need these days.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else?
Yeah, I think the world of marketing and advertising is constantly shifting, and there's constantly new ways that brands want to be taking advantage of to stand out in front of their clients or in front of their customers, whether it's a traditional TV commercial or an online commercial. But I think there's also these new ways of standing or of getting in front of customers, which is like more experiential and interactive marketing, which we've been doing a lot of, which has been really fun. And I think we're just doers and makers at the end of the day, and producing is producing. It's all a little unique depending on what you're producing. But I think we just want to help our clients in every way that we can, and just really be a home to our clients where we could 360 everything under one roof for them. If there's working on a campaign and they want a TV commercial and they want an experiential campaign as well, et cetera, just being able to take care of everything under one roof, it's streamlined and it's more effective and efficient all around.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Well, we have some questions in the comments, so let's pull some of those up so that people can go straight to the source. Question: what would you guys do first today if you were starting a production company from scratch with a couple directors on board? I guess it's like if you were starting again, knowing everything you know, with a couple directors, what would you do first?
I mean, I think the biggest thing to me is like this industry could get so saturated and there's a million production companies and everyone has whatever they say they have, but like what's actually unique about you or what problem are you solving that someone else isn't solving in the industry, and how can you find those few clients that are willing to take a bet on you and then just go so far above and beyond that the value you provide them is just like unbelievable that they can't not come back to you or start to tell their friends about you. I think it's like how you just provide those initial clients such an amazing experience and such great creative that like it just helps make you be like undeniable in the industry.
Cool. All right. From Zoe, what was your initial investment when you started the company, and how did, if any, and how did you go about getting it? Do you have outside investors? I guess the structure of how you manage what you do.
Yeah, no, we fully bootstrapped the company. We started the company with like $3,000. It was really nothing. It was really just the time and energy, the sweat equity that Jake and I were putting into the company, and knocking down doors and creating awareness around us and kind of snowballing one project into the next and using the profits from there to continue to build and scale and grow the company.
Cool. So for small teams, you've sort of addressed this before, but without a full-time new business lead, what's the most impactful first step to bringing in clients?
I think it would just be volume of outreach and not just like cold emailing someone, but like figure out what are the needs of each person, trying to present like mini presentations to them or whatever it is on how you could provide value. But I think it's just like a volume game. Like it's not, don't hit up 100 people, don't hit up 1,000, but like, how do you hit up 10,000 people and then see what people are saying?
And I also think to that point, like, you might not think of these people immediately, but who are people that you have connections with? Maybe you haven't talked to them in 10, 15 years and maybe you haven't seen them since elementary school, but like, an example for us would be like, did I go to elementary school with somebody that now works at a brand that I haven't spoke with in 20 something years that I should get in touch with? Starting off with people that you kind of have warm relationships with.
What about targeting the leads? Like, how do you guys figure out who you want to work with? Like, there's some of that too, figuring out the right, people.
I think it's just brands too, or industries that excite us, and trying to start to find those people. And like to Austin's point, like, do we know people at any of these industries? Like, what is that value we could really provide to them, and like, how do we really want to position ourselves? I think it's like, it goes back to like, what do we want to be making and who do we want to be working with, and what excites us.
Yep. At one point when I worked at a production company, we had a meeting and it was like, we like dogs, beer, and bikes. And we were like, let's just focus on those three things because those are all really cool people likely. And that was actually a very heartening way to like cut through the mess. It's like, yeah, all three of those are pretty good industries. I like all of them. I would do in kind for any of them, and then go forth. But yeah. 10,000 leads is a lot though. Like the volume of it, it's a different game than making. Like the business is different than the doing. Like that's the thing when it comes to success is like they are kind of different brains. You have this creative brain and you have this production brain, and for the business to succeed, it has to really have both in equal measure, equally good all the time. And that sometimes feels convoluted in smaller teams. You like get pulled one way and then you're not focusing on the one thing. And it's in my experience. Okay. When did you first feel successful, and how would you define success now?
It's a good question. Say it again, Jake.
You could take that one.
I think something that makes me feel successful is seeing the success of our team. I think something that's really important to us is helping our team be successful. And as a company continues to grow and as a company wins, we want to see our team members winning, and kind of help with each one of our team members and help mentor them to continue to become better in every way, just like they continue to push Jake and I to continue to become better in every way.
Yeah, I think defining success now, like Dawson's point, I think it's definitely more so on the team personally, I don't think I feel successful yet. I think whenever I'm like, oh, cool, we've made it, we're doing something great, then it's like, oh, that's the next level. And there's real like levels to this game. And it's just like, oh, I want that now. And like, how do we continue to grow? But I think success is like being able to empower our team and help them grow their skills. And it's like on Austin and myself to figure out how to grow the business so they get more opportunities. And once they grow their skill set, they want to stay at the business because there's higher level opportunities for them to partake in.
I totally agree. And I think it's hard to do that. But also I feel heartened that you don't feel successful because you are successful. And so if anyone's having that imposter feeling, you know, like it's okay. We're hard on ourselves, but like you guys have done some really cool stuff and it seems like it's working, which is good. And I mean, I'm just excited about the way that you were thinking about it all, that the way you're approaching things, the way you're trying to be dynamic, the way you're trying to be iterative, the way that you're being reflective, the way that you're thinking about it. Like all of this feels healthy. So I would like to believe that like healthy structures and like positive orientation truly does grow. I know there are like very real steps in between, but it's heartening to hear you speak about it. You're not like cutthroat. Maybe you are, but you're also like thinking about others and thinking about and being reflective, which is really important.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to share just about like what you're doing, this business in general? Like, I don't know, or how you see it changing, like what you're feeling you need to pivot around to be relevant now, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I think has also just led to our success is like we have a saying called like evolve or die, but it's like the industry is constantly changing. There's a million things going on, and it's like, what do our clients really need, and how can we provide them that service at the highest level, especially if it's like a new endeavor? How can we make them feel confident in our ability to get it done and that they're making the right choice in selecting like this partner on this new type of venture, whatever they're trying, and just continuing to stay curious and figure out what are these new opportunities in the industry and just dipping our feet in that and seeing which are actually going to stick, which might not, but like just building our toolkit of different ways we're able to provide value.
Cool. Anything else, Austin?
I think, you know, back to what we were talking about earlier, I think, not just figuring things out on your own, but being able to find consultants or mentors that you could learn from to help continue to push your business forward is something really important. And that's really a big reason why Jake and I have been able to get to where we are today. And I also think like, you know, for co-founders, and it took Jake and I a little bit of time to figure this out, but figuring out what each one of you is best at and what each one of you wants to spend your time doing and specialize in and focus on, to help kind of keep things black and white, and then knowing that you can trust each other in whichever lane that you're in, to do what's best for the business at the end of the day, has really been a part of the success that we have that I feel is worth sharing with others.
Cool. Well, thank you both for your time. We are going to wrap for now, but this will be available on YouTube. We'll send it around to anyone that RSVP'd. And if you are making great work out there, the Telly Awards is open for entries through next Friday for early deadline. So if you're making music videos or branded content or commercials, we have categories for you. And, you know, winners like Jake and Austin who are showing high caliber work themselves. Maybe you can vie for a similar award. I'm Amanda. Thank you both for joining us, and everyone have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.